what happened in the 1970s.
What, the Shrewsbury?
Yeah, Shrewsbury.
And you're
24.
Harry Chadwick.
Yeah.
And this, my friends, is the Ricky Tomlinson.
Yes.
We're here at the TUC. I come to interview Matt Rack. I found these two in the cafe. Tell us about the Shrewsbury, Ricky.
No, the first thing is the prices in there are scandalous, aren't they? Hey, and they couldn't make a meat pie down here in the south if they had what? I don't. If they had two heads.
I've left my dinner on the table in there, cheese and leek. I'm getting back to that. I need to talk to you guys about the Shrewsbury thing, because that has been going on. Like the Hillsborough.
40 years.
40 years!
40 years, and they won't release the documents because, and I'm classed as a threat to national security.
You're a terrorist, mate. That's what they said.
I am a terror. That's what my mother said when I was about 10. You're a bloody terror.
Any person that stands up to the establishment, they use the media. Sheila Coleman from Hillsborough, she said what they do is they close ranks and they try and shut you down, discredit you.
Sheila Coleman's a good friend of mine, kid, because I set up with John Glover, the lad whose son died at Hillsborough. I set up the Justice campaign with Sheila Coleman.
But she's incredible, isn't she?
She's wonderful.
She's a great lady. But this thing about Shrewsbury, right, about blacklisting workers, because I worked out, on the building site, Irish, digging roads, working for different companies. But I know that if you say anything about health and you're off the job.
Absolutely, but don't forget, because we went on strike in 1972, we had to go on trial in 1973. In a trial that lasted 55 days, cost £1 million. I was in the witness box for 3 days, and then I got sentenced to 3 lots of 2 years. My mate got 3 lots of 3 years, and from the treatment they give him in jail, a lad called Desi Warren, who's no longer with us, he died of drug-induced Parkinson's.
But that's the state of this government now. This government is knocking everyone to bits, Harry. What the fuck? What is going on?
Exactly.
Through privatisation with fire services, the NHS, the media closing ranks, ridiculing nurses, teachers. They want to smash the workers. They want to take the unions away, so you've got no rights.
Exactly, because it's just a carry on from Thatcher's legacy, isn't it? But I think what Thatcher done to the miners was an absolute disgrace. And as for having portraits of it in Downing Street and statues to it in Parliament, I think that's an absolute disgrace. She was a disgrace. And I was made, the day she died, I was made up. But
these people they got now, they are pigs, mate. You know that David Cameron, Michael Gove, Andrew Lansley, Jeremy Hunt. It's like the Animal Farm. They've taken over and that's it. We're in charge. They don't care what you want, what you say.
But the thing is, you see, they don't know. They've never had a hungry day. They've never had a hungry day or a cold day in their life. Nick Clegg didn't know how much a pint of milk was. So, and yet he's there in the government, isn't he, in this bloody so-called coalition. He's like a little sheep. He goes where he's pushed or where he's told to go. It's an absolute outrage. You've got a cabinet there of about 23 members, and 21 of them are millionaires, aren't they? Or multi-millionaires. And they're telling working class people, if you've got a spare bedroom, you're going to get taxed £25 a week. Or give that house up that you may have lived in for 30 years and go and find another one where you won't know the neighbours, you won't know the neighbourhood, you won't know whether it's got a post office or the bloody hospital. And that's what they're doing. But it's about time, and I think the revolution is just about to start. I think the working class are getting together now, and they're saying enough is enough.
Fuck, enough is enough. You heard it from Ricky Tomlinson and his mate Harry, the Shrewsbury. But what they want to do, they are building an army. They have got mass unemployment. They're saying there's only a few unemployed. It's massive. They've got 0-hour contracts. They've got 1 million youth unemployed. And they got people, they're forcing people with cancer to go on these workfare programs, the ATOS. They've privatised the welfare.
The big test case at present is what's going on up that refinery up Scotland as well, where they're saying they want to change all the contracts, do away with all the pensions. We don't want you to go on strike for 3 months. We want a written guarantee as you won't go on strike, and then we'll drive all your wages and conditions down. In other words, completely disregard for trade unions. And that's what that's about. It's a test case. If they get away with that,
that's it.
They'll move themselves to other areas.
But look at a postal workers. Right? I've got a friend and I speak to him every day. He knows what's happening. You know, they've privatised that. They've made a fortune out of it.
Yeah.
George Osborne's made like 20 million first day. Yeah. But it's about people's lives. It's like, he's worried psychologically. He's thinking every night. What am I going to do
but
for
listen,
my kids?
you know, over the postal thing and over the privatisation, what I can't understand about this is they privatised this and then the post office lads voted to go on strike. They should have went on strike before they privatised it. Why didn't they? Why didn't he? Why weren't he called to arms? Why didn't he say, if you even attempt to privatise it, and only the good parts, by the way, we'll go on strike. They waited till it was a fait accompli. They'd privatised it, then the lads voted to go on strike.
But they got people by the throat because they know that human people, like, they're worried about their families. They're offering them money to break the strike, £300 if you go in. People are scared because people seeing their jobs go, and you know, people look powerless because they look towards Labour. Labour are involved in privatisation. They're involved in the workfare programme, sticking up, that Rachel Reeves sticking up for Ian Duncan Smith's policies, and the other guy, Hunt, sticking up for the Michael Gove's policies. People are crying at that.
But you take the free schools, for instance, and they're allowing unskilled or unqualified teachers to teach the kids, which is an outrage. Are they going to then have people who are not quite qualified as doctors to treat sick patients? Are they then going to try and have fellas who are not really fully trained firemen to man fire stations? It's only the thin end of the wedge. I've got grandchildren and I want them taught by the best possible teachers, because that's what the ruling class have got over the working class. Their education hasn't been touched or bothered. We can't afford the tens of thousands of pounds that they have in these public schools. And they'll make sure we don't get them. They'll put in second-rate teachers and turn out second-rate citizens because they don't want us to be on par with them, to have the education and the level of intelligence that they've got through going to Oxford and Cambridge and all them schools. So that's it. That's the thin end of the wedge. Them free schools are not worth a carrot.
There's a massive shadow government, you know, that's working behind all these people. You know, the bankers and the corporations. You know, the big guys, the ones involved in the oil and gas and energy, and they're ruling the roost. And through privatisation, that's why we need a general strike.
We need these people to get off their arses and do a bit of leadership.
You know, they need to get together, Matt Rack and everybody else that's in there. Do you know what I mean? All the unions need to say to the people, like, before it's too late, before there's no more unions, there's no more support. Because it'll all go. Because once the private sector comes in, Royal Mail, and it comes into all, it's gone.
But listen, on the news last night, it was saying, I think it was Tesco, they destroy so many thousand tons of food a year or whatever. Well, there's one way that they could do without that, you know. You know, if they halved the price of the food, people would be able to buy it. It wouldn't be left on the shelf. It wouldn't rot. You wouldn't have to destroy tens of thousands of tons of good food. There's people in this country who are bloody starving.
That Tesco,
give it to them.
That Tesco food is shit. You know what they got you? They got you sucking on Tesco's fucking titty milk. It's shit. They've smashed the farmers. They got Monsanto in there injecting the milk. They've got the people brainwashed. The Queen's a goat. You know the Queen's a goat. She's a hairy fucking goat-legged. She's a centaur. Do you know what I mean? Because
well, I wouldn't go along with that actually, because I've seen her and she looks quite normal.
Have you seen her feet? Have you seen her feet?
No, not lately.
She's got hooves.
I haven't seen, so I can't go along with that. She's an old grandmother. I'm not going to pick on individuals who can't defend themselves. Yeah. I want to have a go at the government and at Cameron and people like that who can defend themselves. And that's why I'm here at TUC House, to have another go, to be a thorn in their side, and we'll keep it going as long as it takes.
Smash these!
Smash them!